Hi, I'm Will Howard, and we're at the private collection of a group of World War II aircraft. This is the Mark 9 Spitfire, which was used by the British, and it's the cousin to the P-51 Mustang that's responsible for the air war, winning the air war over Europe. It's the reason why we're not all speaking German right now. We had the opportunity to take a ride in World War II aircraft that came to Easton, and it was very exciting. Come along for a ride.
Engines were started and the B-17s began to rev up. Lieutenant Colonel Robert Olds signaled the planes to proceed individually over the route. In charge of the entire B-17 service test program, he devised this flight procedure for crew training.
We're with Jim Harley with the Collings Foundation. Now, tell me what that is and what is your job there?
We're a nonprofit educational foundation. We were established in the late 70s to promote history, living history. And we're the World War II end of it. We fly these 3 World War II aircraft around the country. Each year we're in our 24th season of touring. And annually we do about 110 cities in 38 states.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, now tell me about there's 2 planes now. One P-51 is flying. So tell me about both of these planes, a little bit of history.
Behind us is the B-17 Flying Fortress and the B-24 Liberator. They were our primary heavy bombers during World War II. The B-17 was our first 4-engine heavy bomber, and it was designed in the mid-30s, and it saw production and combat right through the end of the war in 1945. The B-24 came on the scene around 1940 and was the most produced American airplane ever, 18,000 built, and it was the big brother to the B-17, and it saw combat in all theaters as well.
Now, how many of these are left now today in working condition?
The B-24, out of 18,000 built, we know of 13 in existence, and this is the last one that flies.
Wow.
The B-17, there are built 12,000, a little over 12,000 of them, and we know of about 50, and there are about 6 that fly.
Can we take a close look?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. You bring along a crew with you too. How many people in all travel with these 3 planes?
On average between 9 and 14, and we have 3 full-time mechanics that work on the airplanes every day.
And this gentleman here's mechanic?
Yeah.
He's also a great assistant. He helped us get belted in yesterday when I got to take a ride on this.
Yeah, you bet. He's our flight engineer, so he makes sure all the passengers are taken care of.
He did a great job. Right. Now tell me about these engines.
They're Pratt & Whitney R-1830s. They're twin-row 7-cylinder Wasp engines, and they put out about 1,200 horsepower, and that's what came with the airplane.
And what kind of fuel do they use?
In cruise, they burn about 50 gallons each per hour, so we figure about 200 gallons an hour for the whole airplane.
So these engines, these planes would go on long missions, and 200 gallons an hour. How long were the missions?
The longest recorded mission for one of the missions in this airplane was 18 hours. They had Tokyo, what we call Tokyo tanks in the bomb bay, and they carried a lot of extra gas. Normally a mission to Berlin was about 10.5 hours, 10.5 hours.
That's over 3,000 gallons.
Yeah.
Times 7 pounds.
Yeah.
Plus bombs.
Plus bombs. They grossed out around 65,000 pounds.
Wow, that's a lot. All right, now tell me about the equipment here.
The airplane's equipped front to back with machine guns. This is an Emerson turret, and it was a later addition to the B-24s. Originally they had a glass nose and some crews were getting tired of getting shot at from the front because they're really vulnerable. They just had a little machine gun in the front and it wasn't a very good deterrent for the enemy. So they took basically a scrapped out B-24 and took the tail turret off and put it on the nose. And that field mod became a standard production mod, and the J was born. And the bombardier sat right up front here. He sat right underneath the nose turret gunner, so it's a Norden bomb sight underneath here. And the navigator would sit behind him, so there were 3 guys up in this little nose compartment.
Okay, plus 2 pilots.
Yeah, they were up behind the navigator working your way back. So you had 2 pilots. Behind him was the top turret gunner, and then of course the bomb bay. And then,
so how many total?
10 crew. 10 crew of 10.
Well, this is a pretty small compartment here.
It's tight. The whole airplane's small.
And they would sit in there the whole time?
Well, they get in there after takeoff. Most of the crew sat forward or up on the flight deck or in the waist. And then once they got off the ground, they get in their crew positions.
Now, I noticed that there's not a lot of bullets for these things.
About 600 rounds per gun. They couldn't carry extra, and they couldn't carry all the extra weight, so they were limited on how much they could actually carry.
So what caliber are these guns?
All the guns on the bombers and the Mustang are all 50 caliber.
50 caliber.
They're all Browning machine guns.
So they had to really be careful of the number of rounds they're shooting.
They were taught to fire in short bursts. If they held the trigger down, it had about 3 minutes of ammo. So if you had a 10-hour mission, you didn't want to blow your ammo.
Okay, so we got more guns back here and then over here. But who are all these names on the side here?
Well, these airplanes don't run for free. And over the years, the foundation has taken on sponsors. And the names represent people who contribute a certain amount of money towards the ongoing maintenance of the aircraft. So we have different levels of sponsorship. This is the Distinguished Flying Command level, and then of course we have the full plane sponsor level in the nose. And all that money is put back into engines and tires and consumables that keep it flying, basically.
How long have you been doing this?
Personally, I've been doing it 10 years. This is my 10th year.
And where are you from?
I'm originally from Akron, Ohio. I still am, but I don't see it very often.
And you spend a year flying this plane all around the country?
January to November. Yeah, so it's yeah.
All right, let's talk about these guns back here. And this that ball, this guy was defending the back end of the plane.
Yeah, he was responsible for protecting the tail, and he had a cone of fire. They flew in a box formation, what they call a box, and they would be staggered in such a way that there was no part of that formation that was not covered by a gun. And that was his responsibility, to keep his little cone of fire free of fighters and whatever else might come up.
How many of these were shot down?
I don't think anybody really knows an exact number, but I think more than half were lost in combat.
Wow. And then the P-51s came in at the end of the war, right?
Well, P-51s came in the middle of '43, and they had about a year and a half, almost 2 years of full service. When the P-51 came on the scene, air superiority was pretty much in the bag. And the biggest threat to the bombers at that point was flak. And of course, they used a good concentration of flak, especially around Berlin, the bigger cities, the big, Schweinfurt. And of course, the Japanese, they did the same thing. So, but the Mustang really turned the tide of the war and reduced the enemy fighter strength on both sides, both the Japanese and the Germans.
Gonna lose that hat, Will.
Yeah. So what do you call the spot we're in now?
This is called the waist gun position, and there were 2 guys here that stood back to back and protected the sides of the airplane.
We see lots of images in World War II of these guys defending and shooting at planes.
We do. And what most people don't realize is that the altitudes they were flying at with these open windows, it was 40 to 60 below zero outside. So not only were they fighting the enemy, they were fighting the elements, and frostbite was a big problem.
And there was no heat in the plane.
They had, if you see these little junction boxes around,
yeah,
they actually had flight suits that they could plug into and adjust the temperature with that. They call them griddle suits because they shorted, they got griddle marks on them.
Well, and they also had to have oxygen too, right?
They had oxygen. You see these yellow tanks?
Yes.
Those are all oxygen bottles, and we only have about half the bottles in it that would have been in combat because it would just constrict room so much.
And behind us is the bomb, what do you call it?
The bomb bay.
Bomb bay, okay.
But
and
more importantly, before that is the ball turret. And it was retractable, and there would actually be a guy sitting inside that, and he'd lower it down, and he'd be protecting the belly of the airplane.
Amazing. Amazing. And how many bombs would it hold?
Up to 8,000 pounds worth, so they could mix and match 250s, 250-pound bombs, 500-pound bombs, 1,000-pound bombs.
Now, when I walked through here when we were flying yesterday, it was a very, very narrow little walkway there. How many inches wide?
I think it's 12.
12 inches? It didn't seem like it.
I want to go again.
You gotta speak up on it.
I want to go again.
It was very worthwhile. Very worthwhile, and these fellows are running this flight very professional. And it seemed like I thought it was only going to be just up and around, but they took us down below Cambridge and back again.
What was your most exciting moment?
Those engines.
My wife's smile.
How long have you been married?
57 years.
Wow. Congratulations. And this is the B-17.
This is the B-17. This is the Hollywood airplane. It's in all the movies.
It is in all the movies.
There's no B-24 movies.
Tell us a little bit about this.
The B-17 was the U.S.'s first four-engine heavy bomber. It was designed in 1935, and they improved on it right up until the war began in 1941 for us anyway, and became our primary strategic bomber until the B-24 came on the scene. It was fully test flown up in the 1941, late 41. And the B-17, great airplane, but it had some shortcomings. It had a small bomb bay. It wasn't as fast as the 24. So great airplane, strong. All the crews liked it. But the B-24, when the B-24 came on the scene, it really shined as far as design improvements. You know, definitely 30s technology versus 40s technology at the time.
It's a big difference in the design of the airplane.
Big.
What's it like to fly this?
All the airplanes are an honor to fly. You know, they're basically the last of the surviving types. This airplane is very easy to fly. It's designed for kids.
Yeah, 18 years old, right?
Yeah, 200 hours in their logbook. And they didn't want it hard to fly. They didn't want to kill crews, so they did put a lot of design features in the mid-rig docile.
So I noticed from flying yesterday that the dashboard looks much like the same, except for you do have some current technology in it.
Yeah, we've updated the navigation system with GPS. So to navigate in today's airspace safely, you need that equipment.
I can't imagine them navigating without the equipment we've got today.
Oh, they would love to have had GPS. Any veteran I've talked to would have killed for it. But you know, they were using star shots. Every airplane had a navigator. You know, if they got separated from the group, they were on their own to find their way back.
Now they're navigating using what equipment?
Star shots.
What is a star shot?
The bubble you see in the front of the airplane,
yes,
was used for taking star shots. So they would
literally
navigate with a sextant.
And how about if it was a cloudy day? Of course, they'd be above the clouds, right?
Yeah, they'd be above the clouds, or you know, you could still find your way with a drift meter and general headings, and there's a lot of ways to navigate. So, but pretty amazing back then what they did.
Yeah, it sure is. Let's take a closer look up front.
Okay.
Oh, that's a big flap.
Yeah. More than half the wing.
We're with Roger Haley. Now, Roger, did you just fly this plane?
I just flew the P-51 Mustang.
Well, that's a must. Just to describe the experience.
Well, it's the dream of a lifetime. I made model planes of the P-51 when I was a kid. I'd talk my friends into buying the kit so I could make it for them. I did them by the dozen. My favorite plane from this era.
So you know the history of this plane?
So I know something, and it's a beautiful plane. Never dreamt that I'd have a chance to fly one. Would dream about flying one, but...
Are you a pilot?
I am a pilot. And I got on this trip here, once we were up and settled down, I got the chance to fly most of the flight.
Oh, cool. All right, describe it. Tell me about your takeoff and where you went.
Well, he did the takeoff and landing, of course. And we just flew over the Eastern Shore, largely. Did some, for me, I'd call them pretty steep turns. Some 360s. I asked if we could do that classic maneuver that you see in the movies with the planes all in echelon and then they peel off.
Yes, yes.
So he did that.
Oh, that's cool.
And then...
how fast were you flying?
At the fastest we were at were 300 miles an hour, 300 knots. Most of the time we were around 200, give or take. And then we also did a roll. He did a roll.
Cool.
You know, one of those victory turns, and asked me if I wanted to do one. At first I declined, but then I thought, I think I want this in my logbook.
Yeah, right.
So he told me what to do, and we did the roll.
So you're up for half an hour?
All the way, yeah. We were up for half an hour.
And where are you from?
I'm from Washington, D.C., grew up there.